Welcome everybody. Great to have you on the call. It'd be really great if you could just let me know in the chat where you're calling from, what's your name and where you're calling from. Really excited to be talking about this very interesting topic, mindset mastery for our changing world. And never has there been a more important time in the world to need to be able to master the mind and as a result emotionally regulate at a time when there is so much fear, anxiety and uncertainty in the world. Welcome, Paul. Nice to have you here. Maria, Greater Manchester. Great. Welcome. Matthias from Southern Norway. Great. Oh, we've people from all over. That's brilliant. Welcome, Jane. So the workshop today is going to take about 50 to 55 minutes, and I'll have some time at the end for questions and answers, and I'll be asking you questions along the way, and it would be great to get your feedback so that I know exactly where you are in your life and what you're potentially struggling with, and therefore as a result can help you more, and you in turn then can learn more. So I'd love for you now to grab a pen and a piece of paper, because you're going to be taking hopefully a good few notes. Close any unnecessary browsers or applications and give yourself the 55 minutes where we're going to talk about how you can learn to master your mind and get what you want from your life. So this workshop is for you if you are regularly exhausted, irritable or overwhelmed. You might be able to visualize or imagine achieving a level of success, but you don't feel like a success. And you feel ineffective, unable to see your value, or you're in a negative frame of mind. Okay, so maybe first of all, if you could just let me know in the chat, what particularly resonated with you in terms of the topic, anything in particular, any particular reason why you're on the call? What are you looking to achieve from the call? If you could just let me know in the chat. We all have changed to a positive mindset, just started coaching, so useful for that. Brilliant, Maria, that's fabulous. Great, well, hopefully I'll be able to give you some tips here. We all have desires and goals that we're working towards. It could be starting a business like Maria. Maybe it's stepping more fully into your purpose. It could be to learn more, Matthias, about mindsets and become a better version of myself. Yeah, great. It could also be improving your finances, improving your relationships. There's a myriad of different reasons that we're looking for a change in our mindset. And we might be doing what needs to be done. Christina said a refresher for New Year goals. Great, absolutely fabulous. So we might be doing what needs to be done, but we still feel stuck. So what's the solution to feeling stuck? And the solution is to saying yes to working on your mindset. So what you're about to discover here is a 3-step process, which are the building blocks for working on your mindset so that you have achievement, financial and economic success, and work and life satisfaction. Okay, so Margot Fox is my name. Firstly, I'm an entrepreneur and I'm a well-being and accredited coach, and I specialize in mindset and resilience. And I started my first business. It was a translation business in a little box room with my ex-husband in the year 2000. And we built it to a global 7-figure business working with brands from all over the world. And in 2005, we won the International Merit Award for the fastest growing company. After 10 years in that business, we sold the assets of the company, and my passions had evolved, and I'd become really, really interested in wellness and helping people to be able to navigate the stresses of life. So I qualified as a certified wellness coach, mindfulness trainer, and I won a competition to join a postgrad program in new business development with a view to developing a mindfulness training company. And the Irish and British Mindfulness Institute was born as a result of that. And I spent 8 years coaching mindfulness and impacting the lives of thousands of people. Then at the age of 50, I found myself alone after 20 years of marriage. Now, after 20 years of being self-employed, which is a challenge in itself, this was a new level of challenge. And I was now doing it completely on my own with two daughters in their late teens. And to be honest, I felt really stuck. I had a huge dash to my confidence. I felt rudderless myself. I had sabotaging thoughts. I didn't plan for my marriage to end. But life has its own plan, and sitting around saying, why me, was not going to solve the problem. So I had to fully engage with what I had been learning and what I had been teaching. And what I started to do was to turn, the kind of the victim mentality, the why me, into why not me. That was the first step. Nowhere on my birth cert did it say, Margot, you're going to live this blissful life and everything's going to go swimmingly well. You're going to marry the love of your life. You're not going to have any challenges. You're going to build a hugely successful business and you're going to die in your bed at 95 with a smile on your face. Okay? Just doesn't happen that way. And this time I really, really had to dig deep. And from what I'd been teaching, I understood that we can only control how we behave. We can't control anything outside of ourselves. And never has this been more, come to the fore more than in the pandemic over the past couple of years. My grandmother was a very wise woman, and she had this fabulous expression. I'm sure a lot of you know it. And it's, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Okay, so when we begin to understand that we can only control our own reactions, we cannot control the reactions of other people, that's when we begin to be able to start moving and shifting. So at a certain point in the grieving process, I also started asking myself, what am I learning here? Because in every trial and every difficulty we have in our lives, no matter how negative it is, we're always learning. In fact, we learn more as a result of challenge than we do when times are really good. So if you're going through a challenge at the moment, just ask yourself, what am I learning here? And try to step back from all of the feelings and everything that's kind of going on in your head and in your body, and start looking at the situation with curiosity. Okay? And when you start looking at the situation with curiosity, then you can begin to start changing the story you're telling yourself. Maybe you're telling yourself that victim story. Why me? Why is it all happening to me? But once you step out of that, ask yourself, what am I learning? And you start getting curious about what's going on in your life and what you can take from it. It's a brilliant way of reframing. Okay? So you're no longer saying, this is happening to me. You're saying, this is happening for me, so that I can learn, evolve, and grow and become the person that I am here to be. Okay, so that was an amazing shift for me, because what happens is you become more objective. You now become like the observer of your thoughts. You can be more rational. You can make good decisions, and it takes you out of the stress. Okay? If you imagine that your life, that everything that happens to you in your life are stepping stones to where you're going. So when you get out of bed in the morning, imagine that you are trying to move from one side of a field to the other. And all over that field, there are lots of landmines. And you are absolutely terrified to stand on those landmines, okay? So maybe you might retreat back into your safe place, back to the side of the field, but you know that you have got to get to the other side of the field in order to live your purpose. And the landmines are all of those challenges that we avoid because we don't want to feel pain. But in reality, they teach us so much about who we are, and they teach us so much about what we're here to do in our lives. And when I began to realize that, I began to see that life was actually serving me and that I was on a path to growth. So when you begin to see life as serving you and you start working on your mindset, you're going to see that it's very difficult, because you've already begun to think in a certain way. But I can guarantee you that it is the most valuable work you will ever do. As Jim Rohn, he was America's best businessman and philosopher, said, if you work on a job, you'll make a living. If you work on yourself, you'll make a fortune. Now, I understand the impact of sabotaging thoughts and how they can really keep you stuck in your life. I understand what it feels like to be a mother, to be a wife, to be a daughter, an aspiring entrepreneur who has all of the societal pressures in the mix. I understand how you can be kept stuck for so long, but I also know what it feels like to become unstuck and to live your life's purpose. And I now spend my life empowering people to follow their dreams, regain control of their lives, and build lives that fulfill and excite them. So, my goal for this workshop is to help you to move your mindset from one of lack to one of abundance. So let's start with the first step. So what's the first step? It's all around limiting beliefs. Now, you've probably heard a lot about, the power of belief and thinking. You can, by thinking or believing, you're going to be able to bring tangible things into your life. But unfortunately, that's not enough. You need to get to the core of what's stopping you from living your potential, changing your energy so that you can then bring the good things into your life. So let me explain it this way. If you're full of anger and you're full of jealousy and you're full of resentment and you're full of worry, eh? And at the same time, you're telling yourself, oh, great things are going to come into my life and it's going to be fabulous and fantastic and everything. It doesn't work like that. It won't happen. So if I use the metaphor of a house, and you've got the foundations of the house. If the foundations of the house are not sturdy, then you won't be able to reach your potential. So the foundations of your house are your limiting beliefs. So what are your limiting beliefs? Your limiting beliefs are the story that you're telling yourself about why you can't do something. Okay? In a lot of cases, what stops people taking the leap is their limiting beliefs. And they can be beliefs like, I don't feel good enough, I don't feel smart enough, I don't feel pretty enough. And you begin to focus on what you can't do and not on what you can do. Okay? And that fear that comes from limiting beliefs results in a lot of negative outcomes. Like, for example, you begin playing small, you never realize your dreams, you block yourself from opportunities around you because your subconscious is not tuned into the opportunities, it's tuned into fear. And you can potentially become depressed and sick. Okay, so let's move on. So where does the fear of not feeling smart enough, good enough, qualified enough come from? It's our inner critic. It's the monkey brain, as the Buddhists call it. It's the voice inside our head that's talking to us from morning to night. And it's the nasty voice in our head. And it's saying things like, I'm a loser. I'm not ready to start my own business. I'm not qualified. I'm nothing but a dope. I'll surely fail. And it's also really good at dismissing your previous achievements as luck or as an accident. Now, I'll share with you what my inner critic says to me. My inner critic says to me, you're stupid. And it originated with my dad, who, out of absolutely no badness whatsoever, used to ask all of us when we were kids and we'd come back from school and we'd have done a test. We'd tell him how we did and he'd say, where were you in the class? Were you in the middle? Were you in the top? Where were you in the class? So he was trying to benchmark us against the other kids. And I was never at the top of the class. So as a result, I always felt stupid when I responded to him. He was a very clever man himself, and he did very, very well academically in his life. So that is the situation happened. I created a thought around that situation. Then during my life, I began to look for evidence of where I was stupid. And if you look long enough and hard enough, you will find evidence that you were stupid, and you will convince yourself that you're stupid, because I did. And what you focus on grows. And that ultimately creates a belief system that you carry around with you everywhere that prevents you from reaching your potential. Okay? So I'd like to ask you, and you can do it privately in the chat if you like, think about, what is your limiting belief? What is the one thing that is stopping you from taking that leap, doing what you really want to do, and pushing yourself in areas that you feel fearful about? What is that limiting belief, that one thing that's stopping you? Because you cannot move forward and work on your mindset until you work out what your limiting belief is. Paul says, what people will say, fear of what can go wrong. Okay, so what people will say. I'll say to you, around what people will say, Paul, there's a great expression, and it is, what other people think and believe about you is none of your business. I don't mean this in a rude way, but it's none of your business. People will always concoct stories, right? And 9 times out of 10, they're people who aren't doing it themselves, right? About you, but it is none of your business what they say. The only important thing is people around you. But ultimately, you have to live your own life, make your own decisions, take ownership of your own life without the interference of other people. So other people's, what other people say about you is none of your business. Fear of what can go wrong, Matthias. Fear of what can go wrong. What if everything goes right? Okay? What if everything works out splendidly well, right? We're always primed for fear because we have a negativity bias, right? It's a primeval instinct that's supposed to be used when we're in danger. Like, for example, when we're walking across the road, we don't want to get run over by a car. But unfortunately, our brain hasn't evolved to take in the stresses of modern life, and it sees lions and tigers in everything. So we see fear in everything. So maybe turn that around, Matthias. Fear of what could go wrong. What if it all goes well? What if it all goes right? Right? What if it all really works out? Reframe that way of thinking. The fear of something going bad. Fear of something. I think, yeah, Jane, I get you. Fear of something going bad. Is there no bigger fear than actually not making the move, than staying stuck? What is worse? Staying stuck and never experiencing potential success, right? Never experiencing it because you're afraid, right? We have to trust, have an element of trust in the flow of life, in the fact that things are happening outside of us that we have no control over. And we have to trust the process. We have to trust our decisions, okay? And we do that in little steps. And then we build confidence, and we build more and more confidence. I love the mantra manifestation show me how good it gets. Absolutely. Show me how good it gets. That's brilliant, Heather. Absolute brilliant mantra. Show me how good it gets. Okay, so think about those limiting beliefs, break them down. Establish when that limiting belief occurred. In our, 9 times out of 10, it occurs in our childhood. Something a primary school teacher said to us, something a parent might have said to us, a friend might have said to us, and we've latched onto it and we've created a story around it. Okay, there's a brilliant expression. It's show me the 7-year-old boy and I'll show you the man. Everything that happens to you from the time you're a baby right until the age of 7 years of age becomes imprinted on your brain. That includes your limiting beliefs. And then we become adults and we wonder why all of this happened. And then we've got to break it down and we've got to start working on those limiting beliefs so that we can free ourselves from them. So how do you do it? Every time you have those thoughts, like the thoughts in the chat, right? You have to become the investigator of your thoughts. You put your hat on, your investigator hat on, and you watch those thoughts, all of those thoughts, okay? And you write them down. And you ask yourself about those thoughts the following questions. So take out a pen and a piece of paper and write down, is it real? Is that thought real? Right? Because 9 times out of 10, it's not real. Thoughts are not facts. They're just thoughts. Okay? So we have to become the investigator of them to establish whether they're real or not. Is it real? Can I absolutely believe it's real? How do I feel when I believe it? Right? If you're thinking, what will people say? What will people say if I do something that I want to do to fulfill my potential? How do you feel when you think that? You feel rotten. How do I feel when I don't believe it? If you decide to think, okay, what other people think is their business, it's nothing to do with me. How do you feel then? You feel more empowered to do what you want to do. Who would I be if I didn't have that thought, if I didn't believe it? Okay, so when you're having those sabotaging thoughts, break them down and ask yourself those 5 questions. Now, this is not going to happen overnight. What you're doing here is you're training a brain muscle. You're training a brain muscle that's been thinking in a certain way for years and years and years. And what you're trying to do is cut away all of the weeds and begin to create new roads in your brain. And that doesn't happen overnight. It's exactly the same if you want to go to the gym and you want to get a 6-pack. Going once to the gym is not going to solve the problem for you. Okay, you have to go regularly. So you've got to start training the brain, and you start with your thoughts. Okay, so when you're having those self-sabotaging thoughts, another thing you can do is think back to all the times in your life when you were a success. Okay, so start maybe when you're a baby and go right through to now. And every time you come across a negative period or a negative point in your life, just skip over it and move to the next positive one, and move to the next one and the next one and the next one. And what you're actually doing, it's like a filing cabinet. At the moment, you've got all of the negative experiences at the top of the filing cabinet, and you've got all the positive experiences at the bottom of the filing cabinet. So what you're trying to do is you're trying to take the positive experiences from the bottom of the cabinet and put them at the top. Okay, so do that exercise sometime. Start right at the beginning of your life up until now and go through every positive experience you've had, write it down, and every negative experience you've had, just skip over it. Okay, anybody, any questions? If you have, just put them in the chat. Otherwise, I'll keep going. So when you started tackling those limiting beliefs, right, the next thing you need to do is that you need to get clear on your goals. All good so far, great, Jane. You need to get clear on your goals, and you need to get clear on your why, right? So your goals are, what exactly do you want? What do you want? Tony Robbins said it's the hardest question for anybody to answer. Take some time to find out, what do I want? Okay. And then you've got to get into the detail of that, and you've got to talk about it. And when you start talking about it, it feeds into your subconscious mind. Okay. And it creates situations for you and opportunities for you. So I'd like you to write the following down. In order to create goals in your life, first of all, you establish what you want. Then you ask yourself, in 5 years' time, what does success look like for me, right? So you're going to write down, this is a big question, okay? So we're in 2022 now. So what do you want to have achieved within 5 years? What does success look like for you? Okay? It's a big question. Okay? So you're going to write that down in detail in the present moment. So you're going to say, in 2027, I have, and you write down exactly what you have, what success you have, but you're writing it not in the future, you're writing it in the present tense, as if you already have it. You get me? So in 2027, I have the following, okay, in my life. Now, when you write that down, your mind is going to kick off like nobody's business, right? Your inner critic is going to go absolutely nuts. And it's going to say, oh, that's ridiculous, you couldn't do that, etc., etc. You don't have the qualifications, blah, 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 right? That's when you start using those questions I gave you earlier, and you start breaking down your thoughts, and you start dismissing your thoughts, and you start focusing on all the positive things that you've done to date in your life. Okay? So when you've done that with regard to your 5-year goal, then go back and do your 1-year goal. Okay? So in 2022, I have, and then you write down whatever it is you have. Okay? And then from there, you break it down over the next year, monthly, weekly, and daily. It's so important to have those goals in order to achieve what you want to achieve. Okay? If you don't know what you want in 5 years' time, write down what you don't want. Okay? So when you're writing down your goals, your subconscious is hearing you, and it's actually beginning to focus its attention, filter out all the stuff that you don't need in your life, and it will focus its attention on everything you need to do to achieve success. Okay? It's like your subconscious brain is a sat nav. Okay? So you need to trust your brain then that it will guide you in the right direction. Okay? So let's move on then. So once you have your goal, you have to have a compelling why. Like, why am I doing this? Why do I want this? And it has to be an emotionally driven why, right? The why has to be bigger than the resistance in order to achieve your goal. So writing down your goal is not enough. You have to have an emotionally driven why. Motivation is not enough. It's very important to know your why, because when the going gets tough and you have to push through, your why is that guiding light for you that will just keep you going. Okay? What happens if you don't have an emotionally driven why? You might have some success and then you pull out halfway through. You miss opportunities for growth because you're shying away from them. Okay? You might feel stressed, overwhelmed, you might give up. So your emotionally driven why is really, really important. Brilliant point about the why, Margot. Read the book, Start with the Why. Yeah, that covers this subject brilliantly. Yeah, Simon Sinek. Yeah, he's fabulous. Absolutely fabulous, Matthias. Yeah, so really, really important to get to the why you're doing it, because that will get you up in the morning and keep you going. What was my why when I started out and I became an entrepreneur in the beginning? I really always wanted to work for myself. I worked for a publishing company in my early 20s, and then started the translation company because I couldn't work for other people. My whys were independence, controlling my own destiny, being my own boss, being free. They were things that were really, really important to me. So it's very, very important that you write down, establish what your why is. Okay. My why then evolved. Your why can evolve. You can start out having one why, and then a couple of years later or whatever, you have another why. My why is different now. Obviously, I still run my own business, but my new why is my innate desire to help others to master their mind in the face of challenge. Because I know exactly what it's like to hit rock bottom. I know exactly what it's like to have sabotaging thoughts, but I also know how to move out of that state now. So that is my why. So it's really, really important to find out what your why is. So a simple action for why is the 5 whys, right? It connects with your vision by connecting with your why. And when you connect with your real self and you connect with your why, all of a sudden, that gulf between how you feel and how you behave closes up. And you begin to start living your potential. So you start off with, well, why do I want to have a coaching business? I want to have a coaching business because I want to help other people. Why do you want to help other people? I want to help other people because I've been through something similar, etc. You know, so, and then you break it down further until you get to the real why for doing something. It's very, very important. Your why is your North Star from getting where you are today to where you want to be. It's your vision. Okay? So that's your why. Anybody, any questions? You can put them in the chat. Now we'll move on to the next one, which is stepping into your goals and your vision, aligning with your goals, but it's aligning with your goals energetically. So what does that mean? You have to first expand energetically into the person you want to become before you live it physically. Okay, so you might ask, well, what does that mean? So let's talk about energy for a start. Everything in the universe is made up of energy, okay, including you. And if you've learned anything about school physics, everything is in constant motion or vibration, and everything is vibrating on its own frequency. And you are both a transmitter and a receiver of energy. And one of our greatest challenges is how to live as energetic beings in an energetic world. Now, I'll give you an example of how energy works. Have you ever walked into a room with 2 people and you walk into the room and you know that there's been a row in the room? It's in the air. There's kind of a negative kind of tenseness in the air. That is the energy in the room. Okay, so that's exactly what I mean by the energy. So let's look at an example of how the energy can work in a work situation. So let's say, for example, you're a salesperson and your sales are down for the month and you're stressing out about money. You might have a sales call scheduled for a client, and your job is to close that client so that you can continue to grow your business and put money into the bank. Okay? So prior to getting onto that call, you're receiving lots of bills, you're getting very anxious, you're getting stressed out, you're getting fearful for the future. Are you going to be able to keep the business going, etc.? You get my drift? So you try to shake it off. You put on a smile and you call your prospective client and you deliver the pitch in a flawless way, and you seem to have great rapport, and your client says she'll get back to you, okay? And then after the call, you start to feel very anxious in your stomach, and you start to think about, you know, please let her say yes, I hope that she calls back, and you start obsessing about it, worrying about it again. And then within a couple of days, the client gets back to you and declines the offer, saying that it didn't feel right for her at the time. It didn't feel right. Okay? So what you didn't realize was that you were emitting an energy of lack, right? An energy of lack, which was the opposite of what you wanted to emit. You wanted to emit an energy of abundance. So your responsibility is to make sure that your energy is aligned with the energy of what you want, not what you don't want. And that starts with managing the thoughts. Because if you don't do that, you're going to miss so many opportunities. You might have a bit of success, but you don't feel like it's a success. So the flow of abundance won't continue to come to you. Okay? But once you know your why, you get clear on your goals and you align energetically with them, things start to shift. You've got to get into the detail of what you're doing and talk about it so that it feeds into your subconscious. What do you want? What is the outcome you want to create? Okay? Think about it as if it's something that you want to attach to. Is what you're saying you want really what you want? Or is it something that somebody else wants for you? That's another question you need to ask yourself. Okay? Because once you are authentic with what you want, you then align with it. If you're living your life through someone else, you are not going to be able to align energetically with your goals. Okay? What's the essence of your goal? Think about how you're going to feel when you achieve your goal. Don't think about what if it all goes wrong? What if something dreadful happens? Think about how am I going to feel when I achieve this goal? How am I going to feel in my body? Okay? Remember, we're human beings, not human doers, and our bodies hold the score. Our bodies tell us what's going on. Okay? It's a great story about a young music producer. Larry Jackson was his name. And at a very young age, he began to work with Jennifer Hudson, singer. And she arrived into the recording studio with 2 Pomeranian dogs. And one of the dogs was called Oscar and the other was called Grammy. And this guy, Larry Jackson, anyway, he asked her, why did you call your dogs by those names? And she said to him, well, I won an Oscar already, and we are going to win a Grammy, aren't we? And she did. Okay. When I was young, I was overly suspicious. And I used to think that if I thought something would happen, or if I desired something, that it wouldn't happen. But I was completely wrong. Jennifer Hudson showed that when you want something, you have to believe in it so much that you are willing to name your dogs after it. There's a brilliant expression. Speak what you seek until you see what you say. Speak what you seek until you see what you say. Okay? So, how do you execute all of that? Everything I've told you. How do you execute it? Write some notes down here, right? Allow yourself to arrive at your goal now. Imagine you're there now. Right? Be happy now in order to arrive. Break the whole cycle of, oh, I'm going to be happy when I get married. Oh, I'm going to be happy when I get that job. Okay? What can you do today to help you feel your goal? Beg, borrow, and steal. Find any area of your life where you have achieved a feeling of success or worthiness or whatever, and connect with how that feels. Take the energy from that other part of your life and bring it into the now. Okay? That's what I mean by beg, borrow, and steal. Pivot your focus. Focus on your goal without thinking about the fears. Feel the fear and do it anyway. Focus, just focus. Every time you get in your head about, oh my God, what this, what if that, what if the other happens? Focus. Get out of your head and focus. Break it down into little goals. Focus is the most valuable currency we have. Surround yourself with positive messaging. Really, really important at the moment. I was just talking to Saoirse about this earlier. There's just so much tragedy in the world. And I know it's very easy for us to say, maybe I'm okay, Jack, but it's just to be looking at all of the negativity in the world has a profoundly negative effect on us. And there's only so much we can control. Okay, so just be really, really cognizant of what you're listening to. Surround yourself with positive messaging, podcasts, books, anything that raises your energy. What we're looking to do is raise our energy. And that involves, you know, positive messaging, lots of self-care, listening to your body. How am I feeling? What do I need, etc. Okay. And then let go of the outcome. That's what I was talking about earlier. Trust. Once you've put all of those little steps in place, once you've got your limiting beliefs sorted, etc., and you're building you're creating building blocks, then just let go of the outcome. Right? We're not tarot card readers. We can't see the future. Only thing that we are 100% certain of is this present moment. I'm on this call with you with Iconic Offices. Past is gone, it's over. We don't know what the future is going to bring. Okay? That's all we know. So focus, pull yourself into the present moment and out of your head. Now, at times you will fall out of alignment, but you just have to use the tools I've given you and bring yourself back again. Right, so there's no point in being on this call if you don't actually take action. Take some action. So write down the following questions. What do I want? Okay. Why do I want to have it? What's stopping me? What's my limiting belief? Right, and then break that down. What do I want in 5, 4, 3, 2 years' time? And break them down into daily, weekly, monthly, and yearly steps. Okay. So, in summary, let go of your limiting beliefs. Find out your why and align energetically with your goals. Okay. This is a lady, Sarah, I was working with through the pandemic, and Sarah had her own company, and the company went belly up during the pandemic, and she was feeling very disillusioned. She was quite depressed. She was anxious. She was fearful for the future. And I worked with her, and she has since gone on to a new career, an entirely new career. And she is much more motivated and much more positive about her future. And this is a testimonial that she gave me in relation to the coaching that I did with her. Now, why am I qualified to work in this area? I've conducted more than 2,000 hours of coaching. I've 15 years of people development and business experience. I have run hundreds of hours of mindset and mindfulness sessions. So I have the qualifications, but more importantly, to be honest with you, I have the experience of the life experience to be able to teach what I teach. So when my marriage ended, I used the tools that I had learned in my training to help me get through all of the tools that I have talked to you about on this particular call. But I stopped at one point and I thought to myself, do you know something? This is the hard way. And it's possible to do it on your own, but it's quite difficult. And I wanted to be able to, quite an impatient person, to fast track that and to be able to start moving out of my situation and evolving quickly. So I myself hired a coach when I was looking to make that change. And I'm here to help you to start to make your own plan of action. So I'd like to ask you a question. Do you think you will find it difficult to make the changes that you want on your own? And if the answer is yes, I have a solution for you. And please stay on the call and I'll just go through it very briefly. It is a scientifically validated program. It's all about mindset mastery and giving you the tools to be able to move from being stuck to fulfilling your potential. And it helps you to understand yourself better and to emotionally regulate at a higher level in all areas of your life. And I mean, let's face it, life is all about management. Mind management being the most important. And every achievement that you've had in your life, right, whether it comes down to how much money you have, how happy and successful you are, how good your health is, what your relationships are like. It all comes down to mind management. The list goes on and on and on. And if you don't learn to manage your mind, any success that you're going to have will be a lot less than you could have achieved. And if you are achieving at the moment without the right mindset, believe me, it's not going to last for very long. So I run a 12-week one-to-one coaching program. And in the program, it has 4 phases: embody, empower, activate, and inspire. So in the first part of the program, I get you to work on your physical well-being, your joy, your energy, your boundaries, radical self-acceptance, essentially. And that helps to reduce burnout, because a lot of us are feeling really tired, exhausted, and overwhelmed at the moment. The next one, empower, is where I help you to shift out of your limiting beliefs. I help you to be able to build resilience, do some emotional clearing, and to be able to start kind of shutting down the resentment and that critical voice in your head that's stopping you from doing what you want to do. The next one is activate, okay? I help you to actually find your passion, find your purpose, find your soul essence, so that you can build a kind of a congruence with your mission and with your action. And then finally, it's the inspiration part, right? I teach you how to have difficult conversations. I teach you how to be truthful, to speak your own truth. I teach you how to lead through influence and to own and use your own voice. So you might say to me, do I need this? Well, there was obviously a reason why you signed up for this workshop. Some of you have said that you're looking to change your mindset, to be more positive, etc. Now is the time to face your challenges, because if you don't, they'll continue to chase you and they can run a lot faster than you. So if you decide not to do the work with me, then please do it with someone, because you really, really do deserve to achieve your potential. So if you'd like to book a call with me, I can have a chat with you for about 30 minutes, completely free, complimentary call. And even if it's just for us to have a chat and find out where you're at the moment, where you'd like to be, and I can give you a roadmap and some tools for helping you to move forward. And there's no requirement to take it any further. It's a 30-minute complimentary chat. So if you'd like to do that, there are my details, and I look forward to hearing from you.